Ambassador, Poland's offer to send MiG-29 fighter jets to a U.S. base in Germany as part of a plan to bolster Ukraine's air defense is being dismissed by the Pentagon as not tenable. U.S. officials say the plan is high risk and could further escalate the war. Let's bring in South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator, good to see you here in the studio.
Thank you.
You tweeted out that you were beyond dumbfounded about all of this, basically saying that the Biden administration / America fiddles while Ukraine burns.
Yeah, we've gone from incompetent by the Biden administration to this move is dishonorable. So here's what I think happened. The Poles were willing to send the jets. The Russians probably told Poland, if you do that, we're coming after you. Poland told the United States, would you have our back? They gave an indecisive answer. Poland did something smart, says, okay, you green-lighted us giving the jets to the Ukraine. We're going to give you the jets to give to the Ukraine. So what's happened here, all of a sudden it was okay for Poland to give the jets, but when we're in the delivery chain, it's an escalation. So here's why it's dishonorable. Putin's morale went up and the Ukrainian morale went down because we allowed Putin to take off the table weapons that would hurt him, help the Ukrainians. We're running scared of Putin. The vice president made a mistake by going to Poland. She made things worse. And medicine do no harm. Her appearance, I think, emboldens the Russians. How could anybody believe what she said in Poland is helping the overall cause? So I'd give this administration a D in the following areas. They've been dishonest, disingenuous, and dishonorable. They're dishonest when they say the Keystone Pipeline would not make a difference. You'd have to believe that the people who are building the pipeline were willing to spend billions of dollars and it would make no difference. They're disingenuous when it says that the oil companies are responsible for not producing enough oil. Do you really believe that? They're dishonorable when they deny the Ukrainians the weapons they need to defend themselves. This squadron of MiG-29s will make a difference inside of Ukraine, but they're not going to invade Russia with a squadron of MiG-29s. What's happened here is the Russians got the Biden administration to fold again. And that's what happened, and this is very dishonorable because Zelensky made a request to a bunch of members of Congress, if you won't give me a no-fly zone, which I'm not supportive of, give me the jets so I can take the fight better to the Russians. And we went from it being okay to Poland to give the jets to all of a sudden it's an escalation. We just backed down from threats from Putin. That's what happened.
Senator, thanks so much for joining us today. Jen Psaki was just asked about this, how the U.S. would respond to a potential chemical weapons attack in Ukraine. She refused to specifically answer or offer any red line, but she said to the reporters, because three of them asked her about it in the room, we have not let anything go unanswered to date. Should we be offering a more firm answer on that as a country?
Well, number one, she needs to quit lying. She needs to quit lying to the American people that the reason we don't have more oil and gas here at home is because of the oil companies. She needs to quit being disingenuous about the pipeline. If it didn't make a difference, why would people spend billions of dollars to build it? And when it comes to the war itself, the people in charge of telling you how we should handle Ukraine are also in charge of the border and one of the very ones that pulled out of Afghanistan. So I think the incompetence of this administration scares me. But we've gone from incompetent to dishonorable, and that bothers me greatly.
You know, Senator, I wanted to ask you this question about Putin's psychology, because you've been to Russia many times. You've dealt with him one-on-one. What is in this for him? He wants to cement his place in Russia's history, but he's going to go down in history alongside the likes of Slobodan Milosevic and Radovan Karadzic. I mean, he has forever sealed his legacy.
Why do you believe that? I mean, he war crimes in Syria, war crimes in Chechnya. He's imprisoned opposition leaders. He's poisoned people. Nothing's happened to him. I wish he believed that. I'm not so sure I believe it. Why did Hitler want to kill all the Jews and take over the world? I don't know. I don't think Putin's suicidal. So when he talks about using nuclear weapons, that's to back us down. The French gave the best response. We have nuclear weapons, too. Nobody wins a nuclear exchange. So this administration is folding at every turn. To deny the jets to the Ukrainians that would make a difference on the battlefield is incredibly dishonorable. And when they were willing to let the Poles do it and we said no, that means that we're afraid of Russia. Here's the problem. I don't think the administration, the Biden administration, really has planned for Ukraine, for the Ukrainians to win. They're more afraid of Putin losing than the Ukrainians winning.
Could you be more specific on that?
Yeah, I think they believe that if Putin actually loses, it will create disruption. They had a plan where the Ukrainians would fight hard and fold in a week. They'd come in with some BS deal, the administration, to carve up the Ukraine and say we saved the world from World War III. That plan is off the rails now because the Ukrainians have taken the fight to the Russians. We overestimated the Russian capability. So their biggest nightmare in the administration is for this to end badly with Putin because they don't have a plan for him to go. I want it to end badly for Putin because I want to get rid of him.
Well, certainly publicly they're encouraging Zelensky and the people there to continue their fight and applauding it. A real quick final question, Senator, because we've heard this White House, and you just mentioned it a moment ago, say go ahead to the 9,000 leases that are out there untapped to increase production in the United States. Go ahead. Well, we've looked into that, and that is true. And it's not unusual to have thousands of untapped leases in any given presidential year. So I'll just ask you this question as a member of Congress. Should Congress be doing something to provide incentive to those sitting on those leases, especially with oil prices as high as they are, to get them to actively tap into those leases since they say they don't like the political environment and the uncertainty and the risk that they take on in tapping into those leases? So could you and other members of Congress, since there's bipartisan support, the White House is encouraging it, perhaps offer incentives to those oil and gas companies to use those leases?
That's a good idea. I'd be glad to do it, but they're dishonest when they say production in America is being impeded because the oil companies don't want to go and find oil. They found a lot of oil when Trump was president. What happened between energy independence to now is that the policies of the Biden administration have stopped domestic production. Biden ran against the fossil fuel industry in the campaign. So are you surprised his policies have led to us not being able to produce oil? So when they say it's the oil companies' policies holding us back, they're lying. When they say that the Keystone Pipeline wouldn't matter, that's disingenuous because the people building it believed it would matter. And when they withhold the jets to the Ukrainians that would make a difference, that's dishonorable because you're improving Putin's morale. You're hurting the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians don't need applause. They need jets. They're willing to fight for their freedom to the death, and the Biden administration folds at every turn like a cheap suit when Russia pushes back.
Zelensky said it. I don't need ammunition. I don't need a ride. I need ammunition. Senator, great to see you. Thanks for coming in.